All right, everybody, we have Jake the GOAT, Coach Cox here today. The man, the myth, the legend, walking on the beach down in Florida right now, living the dream. What is up, Coach?
Hey, good afternoon. I appreciate you having me on the podcast, Tut. This is awesome. I'm fired up to be here. Just couldn't be more excited about it, and grateful to be able to share some time with you and your fans.
Hell yeah. I appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy man, but I think having you come on, so many people see Coach Rick and I.
I'm not that busy anymore. I'm just chilling in
dream
Florida.
down there. You got seagulls in the background?
Yeah, I got some seagulls. They're floating.
So many people see Coach Rick and I around now, and they're like, "Wait, where did you guys come from? Like, why are you guys the same?" I'm like, "Well, we worked for Coach Cox. Like, what do you expect?" Some people are like, "Well, who's Coach Cox?" And
here we go.
When I take a step back and I try to explain it, I can't. So I want people to get first. Tell us about where you came from. Born.
Well, you're giving me far too big of a head here, and thank you, but we're gonna stop blowing some smoke here, and I'll just tell you a little bit about me, and then we'll see where we go. But a little bit about me: born and raised in Iowa, played football at Kansas. From there, grad school at Stephen F. Austin. Then my first job in strength conditioning was at Akron with Akron football. From there, Colorado, I was director of sports nutrition at University of Colorado, assistant strength coach for football. Moved on from there. I was an intern at Temple University with football, and then the head strength conditioning job at Villanova for football. And from there, went to Baylor for football down in Waco, Texas for 3 years. And now I live at the beach in Florida. And May of 2019, I became a super dada. Grateful as all get up to have my little baby girl, Cora May Cox. So that's a big life-changing event. And that's just a short story of kind of everything, but had some great experiences in strength conditioning, done personal training, been a head strength coach, been an associate director, been a director of sports nutrition, oversaw sports science in various aspects at various universities, had a chance to be a former collegiate athlete, had a chance to coach, I would say, at least over 15 sports, along with a variety of age ranges, anywhere from 10 years old to I'd say 65 years old, whether it's in all aspects of human performance with nutrition, sleep, rest, recovery, and certainly strength and conditioning. That's my background.
That sounds like the definition of the college strength conditioning coach life, bouncing around. I mean, dude, and you're actually fairly young for the industry for being all those places.
Yeah.
I mean,
and, there's two sides to that too. It's like, hey, my longest spot anywhere was 3 years at a couple of different spots. And, with that, maybe some good, some bad. Maybe it would have been great to be somewhere for 8 years and really get to see multiple different cycles of how you take, the 5 to 6 years with an athlete in their development from recruiting all the way through maybe their first year in the NFL. But then again, I think there's a lot of advantages to going around the country and learning from different coaches and different staffs and, building that toolbox and then modifying it as I came against obstacles along the way. It's good to have a big toolbox. It's also better to know when to use those tools and when not to. So I think I found that out quicker, getting that variety of experience.
Yeah, I mean, it shows because when we would come in, we would ask a question, maybe not knowing that you would have a lot of the answers to, but you would always say, dude, I was here before. This is where I learned this here, and stuff like that, which is, I think, dude, I remember interviewing to be a volunteer intern for you. And I felt like I was interviewing for a Fortune 500 company because it was so strict to volunteer because you value interns almost more than anyone.
Absolutely.
Is that from your experiences, interning and assistant coaching?
I mean, certainly. I think if you calculate it up, I've volunteered over 36 months total in the profession. throughout working, whether I was personal trainer and stuff. But so I have a big bias toward the individual that's going to work for free, live on the Cliff Bars and muscle milkshakes, get there at 5 a.m. and leave at 9 o'clock at night. I have a big bias to how to help that individual, so much so that when you lay out your multi-leveled programming for your athletes over those 5-6 years, I tend to almost look at, when we buy equipment, how do we store it first? Who's setting it up and how are they setting it up? How much manpower is needed for this? I tend to think, if I was in their shoes, how would I want to see this being done? Because it helps our frontline workers, our direct reports, work smoother and more efficient, therefore give our athletes more back in return. And if they're able to efficiently manage everything and have a better quality of life, and they're not drenched in sweat by the time the first lift group starts because they were setting up 20 prowlers with 400 pounds each, then we're going to get a better focus from them, and in turn keep our athletes safer and get a better training session for our athletes.
You all know what's so funny about that? The first thing that just popped in my head, essentially talk about like earning things, right? And grinding through.
Yeah.
5 or 6 a.m. lifts, foundational group, freshmen, red shirts. They come in, it's freaking freezing. They're tired. No music. They're not allowed to train to music. You make them train without music for the first couple months to earn it, basically. They can challenge themselves to fight through training at 6 a.m. without it.
Yeah. Well, and part of that too is it kind of ends up keeping like maybe some stress levels down for the athlete overall, in a sense that, when the music's on and we're doing max effort type work and everybody's around you clapping stuff, the stress is going to end up being higher. And if that's consistently repetitive, we're going to hit a crash point sooner. So if we can actually muster up some internal juice and energy and kind of get those things from day to day and actually build up and stack bricks on the foundation of training and building this pyramid of performance, then I think we're better off. If we don't always have to be in the game day atmosphere and the hype center, then I think if we can get that, we're going to get better results long term. But yeah, and I think going back to it with the athletes, especially, are we empowering them or are we entitling them? And there's a big difference there. Are we sitting with them while they eat meals for 4 years in a row? Or do we trust them to be a grown man, because they all come believing they are? And are they taking care of their stuff in a timely manner? Are you having to make sure they're setting back their rack and their equipment every day? Or are they showing the ownership to make sure the younger guys are doing that? And we want to just look through these things holistically to make sure we're empowering them, not enabling them. So for instance, let's teach them to earn things. They eat what they kill, in a sense, and teach them to earn things. Whether or not you start off and you're only allowed a chocolate shake to start off, but then you can earn a chocolate shake in trail mix, and then you can earn the other shake, or you can earn a green shake in your post-workout smoothie, or you get pre-workout concoctions, or you get blood work panels done if you're in the elite lift card section. There's different things to work towards and kind of make sure that we're rewarding the top 20% of earners when it comes to respect to their attitude, effort, and preparation. Not just on field play, but the people that show up with the attitudes, the efforts, and the preparation day in and day out that are consistent with what we want to build our culture and our program on. Don't just reward everybody to reward everybody. Not everybody gets a cookie. Not everybody needs to feel good about what they did today, especially if it was a shit effort.
That's one thing I did notice with you working for you, was that you weren't afraid to treat the better athletes or the people that worked harder differently than the other guys. And some people nowadays, it's very PC. It's like everyone has to be treated fairly. Everyone needs to be treated the same. Where you were like, fuck that, dude. I'm going to treat the starter linebacker who works hard for that spot differently than I'm going to treat the kickers, Well,
in a sense too, it's more, it's another thing to be even more definitive and walk that out. That's one 5-star athlete that gives the great effort versus a 5-star athlete that feels entitled and doesn't give great effort. Well, regardless of position, I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to coach you. Like I'm going to delegate that downstream, and we're just going to monitor you and keep you safe because you have a shit ass attitude and effort. Where the walk on who's busting his butt day in and day out shows up 10 minutes early, stays 10 minutes late, and he's counting the 5 stars reps and he's pushing. I'm going to coach him every single day. You know, it's earned, not given. And regardless of race, regardless of recruiting stars, regardless of geographical location you came from, regardless of position, that's how we're going to go about it. We will earn the right to be coached hard, and we will coach hard. You know, we won't just hand out a coach's exhaustive effort and the intensity with coaching just to somebody because he's entitled. And for one coach to think that he has enough energy to coach every single 100 athletes on the floor is ludicrous.
Yeah.
At some point, if you were doing that, you'd be working 19 hours a day, and there would be no energy reserves from you as a coach left to get those people past, I'd say, 6 hours. So it's just kind of a logical thought through it. So coach the ones that earn it. Coach the ones that bring the attitude, the effort, and they're prepared day in and day out. And, you know, with that token, don't take it as being a hard ass. Take it with that relative to the time and place of the athlete you're with, because you might have a guy who day in and day out is great, and he comes in and he's off. That doesn't mean you go MF him. That doesn't mean you shun him or it's a culture of shame right away or anything like that. It just means he's having a bad day. Man's human. Now, if he's having those for 20 months in a row, guess what? That was a bad recruit.
Yeah.
That we got to look at the old staff meeting. We got to sit down and look around and, hey, who brought Jimmy into the organization here? You know, that's a different look at things. But if it's one day, we're all human.
And so much of that is that's mental. That's your mental philosophy on things, right? So that's your approach to really not even athletes as to freaking men or businessmen and growing young adults, right? I always say you're getting these kids at a very vulnerable age. They're 18 years old, right? When you get a lot of them, some of them 17. And you're developed, they spend more time with you than they do with their family for the majority of these big time D1 athletes throughout the year.
Absolutely. You know, and one thing when they come in on recruiting visits, when the parents have a lot of questions for you, don't be afraid, especially I see this on the nutrition side of it, don't be afraid to ask the parents and the athletes your own questions. For instance, do they know how to fry an egg? Do they know how to grill a chicken breast or a steak? Because in reality, if he doesn't know how to do these things or has yet to clean his laundry, then we're going to come up against some daily lifestyle habits that impede our progress because we're trying to train the holistic 24/7 of the athlete. We're not just with them for the 2 hours. We're monitoring sleep. We're tracking health and wellness. It is a holistic, all-encompassing 360 approach. And without some basic right to play school skills, we need to know that so that we can then go meet the athlete where he is. Because before we start talking about blood paneling work, vitamin D3, or, you know, grilled salmon and seared asparagus, we need to understand, can he do his own laundry? Does he get to bed on time? Does he understand how to hydrate? What's right for him, you know, or her? And then how to take care, you know, can they clean dishes? Can they cook? Do they know how to? So.
And you set the tone for that. You know, I think that's one way that you don't separate people. You know, you might train people a little bit differently, give them the attention when they're on the floor. However, when it comes to building men, you treat your interns the same way you treat your athletes, essentially. I remember, we fucked up the one day we weren't cueing loud enough, 6 a.m. lift. You made all the athletes stop. You made all the interns, you put us on a timer and made us yell as loud as we could at the top of our lungs, as many coaching cues as we could in 60 seconds. And I'm like, from that day on, I am never quiet when I'm cueing people. And I'm like, shit, he just called us out the same way he calls them out. And that's just like building character. You know what I'm saying?
And as I would choose to be coached myself, and I would choose to be developed or apprenticed myself. That's what I would choose for myself. I would want to know where my weaknesses and my strengths are. And you can remember every 30 days, after every month, we'd sit down as a staff, we would do a blind survey: attitude, effort, teamwork, coaching voice.
Those
Do
always
you have a,
some good
and,
conversations.
and then on the back, you would rank. So if there was 20 assistants and interns total, you would rank from first to last. How'd that go? And then we would sit around and we'd have the final scorecard. Everybody, you wouldn't put your name on it so you could keep your anonymity. Everybody used the same color pen, turn them in. We'd have a coach shuffle them up and then type them up and then score them. And we'd keep logs. And that way we could all sit around and kind of get sometimes you hear some of the unsaid office rules. Well, we were getting those out. And we were allowing people to know where they stood at 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days before the end of the internship, before the end of your job, so that you knew where you were. It's essentially a 30-day performance review, because at the end of it, we were after developing as many full-time coaches as possible. I didn't want to have as many naive 22-year-olds for as long as possible. I wanted to have as many naive 22-year-olds coming to me that in a matter of months left with the knowledge of a 40-year-old who is really sharp, disciplined, and ready for a head job. Now, those are lofty goals.
Your coaching tree is pretty big now. I mean, you got people freaking all over.
And we're just really fortunate and lucky. There's a lot of luck involved with that. But people are dedicated. I think part of that too is we did that thing. We did performance reviews every 30 days, but we also did financial education was a big part of it. Talked about the profession. Where can you actually go? What are the realities of it right now? Where do we see it going? And what do you want for your life, your own family in 5 years, 10 years? And do you see yourself doing this in 30 years? And sometimes it's not right for people that day. And they're going to finish out and they're like, hey, I was really thankful you did that, because now I understand I'm moving somewhere else with my life. I've shifted my life's mission and priorities somewhere else. Or they're like, I'm all in. Oh, yeah. And all of a sudden they're like, I'm locked in. I'm doing this for 25 years. I'm going to the top. I'm going to try to bring as many people with me, and it's going to be a blast. So
you always say, I was like, Coach, how you doing today? Winning life. What are you doing? That's a mindset. Where did you, and you've taught a lot of people about mindset, what to do, routine, stuff like that. Where did you learn that from? Is that something that's been like a part of who you were when you were an athlete? Or was there like a aha coming to life moment where you were like, this is what I need to do to win?
I appreciate that. But, it's a mixture of nature and nurture. It always is with everything. Raising my daughter 17 months now, and already I can tell some things were just from day one. That girl has it, like just certain mannerisms or actions or traits. And you're like, wow, this was just born in you. So, and some of it's developed. And with that development, it's the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's the people you spend your time with, it's the books you read, and it's the influences you choose in your life. And I would say I had a great upbringing. And one time, essentially is like, sometimes people need that confidence, that peace of mind of confidence. And one story is I was talking to my dad, I must have been 10. And dad was like, hey, how you watch a movie and you're like looking at LA and there's a bunch of people walking down the street and stuff, and or like you're at school and you see a bunch of kids, or you're in the mall and you see a bunch of people passing by. And I was like, yeah. He goes, well, think about it. Over 90% of those people, at least, you're never ever going to see again in your life, ever. And I was like, okay, where are you going with this? And he's just like, well, think about it. That really tells you the real opinion that matters in life is your own opinion of who you are and where you want to go. And you couple that with being coached by some great coaches, having great influences with friends and family around me. In a sense, it's like, be who you want to be, act how you want to act, and do no harm to others. Try to give back to others. And when you have a giving mindset instead of a scarcity mindset, you're able to try to look at the world as a gift. It's happening for me, not to me. And how much can I give back before my time is gone? And so that kind of levels out and disappears a lot of the self-doubt that a lot of people have, that I've seen people have. And you just try to give that to people. I remember one story. I had an assistant at Nova, and I could tell one day he had just had some tension with me, and I knew he like a couple of tasks didn't come through, and he was pressured in some other areas. I just stopped and I said, look, here's the deal. Maybe I'm wrong about what I'm about ready to say, but I think I've got this. Let me know if I'm right. You have my voice in your head right now talking to you. The reality is that voice in your head is saying some things, and it's particularly negative. But in truth, I've not said those negative things to you. I'm not saying anything to you. It's you saying them, but in my voice. I said, so just realize I didn't say those, because you know enough about me that if I was going to say something, I would say it. And he all of a sudden was like, wow, that was exactly it. And I said, it happens. All of a sudden you get down about yourself and you start thinking, well, what's my wife thinking? Or you at one time were like, oh, the coaches think I'm awful. They're not playing me. They don't like me. That's not true. In sports, coaches play the best players because they want to win, you know, or you're like, oh, my dad's disappointed me. Dad never said that, you know, so think through those moments. And so with mindset and self-confidence, I would say it's a lot of the books I read, people I associate with, and, you know, just a little bit of who I am.
Yeah, I think so much of that. It's such a good point because I always say your mindset is everything. Because when you can change your mindset and the way that you're essentially view yourself and you realize what matters, that's what changes everything and the way that you can look at life and kind of how it, you know, how you operate day to day and where you're putting your energy. I wasn't a good public speaker until I got to Nova. I wasn't good there. When you made me do it and you made me read these books, I'm like, dude, I'm an intern. He's making me read books and write reviews. Like, what the fuck? Now you can't shut me up because I'm confident in what I have to say. And my mindset's changed that people who are going to listen to me care. The people that don't, screw them.
And I have something, I'm horrible with social media. So apologize to anybody, but I haven't had the accounts for like months. But I remember one time I was looking maybe a year ago and you posted something, and the very next day you had an apology. You're like, hey, just want to apologize to everybody. I kind of screwed up or misspoke, or I even forget the issue. I don't even know what it was. But I think when you have the mindset that, look, the good and the bad is very relative to whose opinion it matters to and the time and the place with who you're with. So we all are human. We all make mistakes. And it goes back to it. Sure, I have this standard of conduct. I have this standard of discipline and execution and this standard of how I live my life. But sometimes I fall short of that standard. And I'm human and I'll open up about it. And that's exactly what you did. You just said, hey, look, I made a mistake. And what was wrong with that? There was no harm to that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you believe in yourself as a man, it's okay to say that you fucked up, and you owe it to yourself to be true to yourself. And if you're not confident, I was talking to Rick about it, and the guy that he had on, it's like, if you as a leader can't take accountability for yourself screwing up, how do you expect other people to do that? You know, how do you expect your athletes to take accountability for taking a play off or messing up a play if you as a strength coach can't say, I didn't put the bands on or whatever, you know, things like that.
Or like I showed up 5 minutes late. You know, I'm human. The alarm clock slipped. I hit snooze a few times, like, or whatever it is. You know, give no excuses, you know, because nobody cares about your excuse. They just care about your results. And if your intentions are pure and you've established some results and you're working towards other results with pure intentions that care for others, people are going to be accepting and understanding of mishaps and mistakes. So just keep moving forward. Take one more step forward, you know?
I love that. And this why I have a bookshelf behind me, probably 10 of the 30 or 40 books that are on there, books from you that still have the dots in them, right? So you're putting little dots. you're like mapping out things in books that are important to you that you want to pass on to other people. And those are the messages and the things that we were able to take to now pass on to other people that we're leading. And one of the things that I admire, why I wanted to get you on is, you know, when you go into a room of 60, 70 people, you can command the room, right? And you need to in order to be a leader. Are those things transferable for you from the books that you read? Is it just a confidence in your knowledge that to be able to speak to them that way and get them to buy into what you're doing?
Well, I think maybe like with the one-on-one or like coaching in large populations, it's doing it. You know, no matter what, it's taking the first step and doing it. With real estate, it's doing it. With, you know, your money, it's doing it. With lifting, it's doing it. Like if you don't have a good program, just start going and do it 3x10 on some squats and some benches and chin-ups and figure it out. Like just do something. Just stop standing still and making excuses. So I think it's first doing it. Like fail. Like I've had moments where you're in front of 100 athletes and the whistle slips out and you're like, you're fumbling with the whistle, whatever. Just put it back in and do it. They all get it.
What are you going to die? That's what I was saying. It's the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah. Be human. Knock out 2 push-ups. Boom. That's my mistake. Hands on my hips, 2 push-ups, yawn, 2 push-ups, whatever, you know, said the F word, 2 push-ups. Like just knock it out. I get it. You know, like reset, let's move forward. And they're understanding, everybody gets it. And that's what I see. That's what I see. So
I think, right? Because those things that you do, they yawn, 2 push-ups. Forbes will be yawning in the gym. TP will be like, dude, 2 push-ups, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit carries over to them in their lives, that they're still able, those lessons to them. You can't yawn when you're in the gym now.
No.
It's hey, like that to stick with people though.
Coach, once you got out of bed and you made your bed, hey, we don't yawn. You know, we're not in bed anymore. So, you know, don't put your hands on your hips. Don't bend over. You know, just like let's do the little shit right.
One of my favorite Coach Cox stories of all time was where you said, you're like, I owe it to my wife to just be a man and dominate every day. You're like, my alarm clock goes off. I rip my thing up and I jump up and I throw my hands in the air and I just like, you scream as loud as you can. And you're like, Rick and I talk about that all the time.
Dude, like some people need that. Like
we have a special guest coming on to this.
Oh, bring it. Let's go.
Oh, surprise entry. I think I got the Zoom code.
Let's go, Rick. What's up, brother?
What's going on? I saw you guys live on
IG.
I said, you know what? I'm a crash this party.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Dude, you're looking thick and good. Dude, are you deadlifting with Tut nowadays? Traps are big, beard is big. Dude, that's awesome. How are you, man?
I'm doing well.
Where are you at? You outside right now?
Yeah, I just got done a men's hockey lift. And I'm about to head over and watch their practice for a little bit. So,
are you at the beach?
No, I'm not in the beach. I'm actually in very cloudy Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I'm at a very cloudy beach here in Florida. So,
we like to call that winning.
Yes,
man, I appreciate you, bud. I appreciate I lucked out having you guys along with so many other assistants and staff members along the way, not just at Nova but everywhere, man. Baylor, Colorado, and Stephen F. Austin. So. Just good people. And that's the biggest thing too, is you can take somebody entering the profession is be around growth mindseted people that want to just do great work and give back, you know, and it becomes kind of like a family unit and just live through that.
That's what we talked about, Rick. I mean, Rick and I spent that time there together with you, and our relationship is carried over. You know, we own a business together now. We still talk about training. We still compete. Like he's running around telling everyone that he beat me in benching yesterday. I tell him
which he did
more, you know, and I can deadlift more. So it's like those relationships still go from eating shit together and volunteering, like you said.
And remember the staff lifts too, doing everything together, everything. And that's a big part of it too. That culture builder right there was having 90 minutes every single day set aside for the whole staff to train together, you know, and a little bit of iron sharpens iron, forged in the fire. And, you know, it can't just be talked about and done on a whiteboard or whatever. And I think that's one of the best ways you can give back to your staff. And you guys bought into that 100%, along with the books, the assignments, and then leading your own groups.
People always laugh at mine and Rick's relationship. Like, they're always bitching and yelling at each other. And I'm like, well, for nearly a year, we trained together every day, you know, always competing. Rick was always stronger than me. Then I was getting on him for doing things. And, you know, I surpassed him in a lot of the movements. But the competition for a year, made us, you know, compete constantly to this day, but it makes us get better every single day and going through that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, I'd much rather work with people that I enjoy being around for, you know, however long you have to be there, than I would go maybe work for a better company or a better organization or whatever it might be.
Absolutely.
And make the hair more money, but hate my life every day that I go there. I mean, the people you surround yourself with, that you work with, is, I think, the number one thing to look for in terms of wherever you want to go in life.
Yeah. That was
never
a checkbox on your hiring process, wasn't it, Coach? Like, I'm hiring a paid spot if I have to like you.
Absolutely. I mean, and that started with the volunteer stuff. Like, we had a whole, you know, I don't know, 15 questionnaire you had to fill out when you came. And if you guys ever read like Good to Great, the Brown M&M effect from David Lee Roth from Van Halen, essentially there were 2 questions in that questionnaire. They were like the 2 we looked at out of like the 30 or 40 applicants. And it really told us a lot about you. And then it became the next phase, and the next stop, and then the in-person interview. And then it was that actual internship. So there was a large vetting process before anybody actually ever came to us, and we hired them. And I think so in a sense, when you do a job interview, somebody comes in and you might be around them for 8 hours, maybe. But we were interviewing for over 3 months. We were interviewing in the early morning, afternoon, evening, late evening, Thursday night cookouts. So by the time it came for a job to be open, we had a great understanding of who we wanted.
I knew we made it when we got invited to your old man cave for some scotch.
I really missed that, man. Bourbon, Coach. Bourbon. And cigars and steaks.
I knew we made it.
I appreciate that. You guys made it long before that. It was awesome to share that moment and experience with you guys.
Rick, we were talking about when we were timed on the minute to give as many coaching cues at the top of our lungs as humanly possible.
Yep, that's still. You're not helping.
Oh, that was classic. That's not helping. Oh, hey, inside there.
Did it work
inside.
Or not?
It worked.
It worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
Simple. And you know, the context of that too is, I think we were at the end of week 2 in coaching in the summer. And before somebody comes in to intern, we want to know the 3 to 5 major priorities they want to accomplish with the internship. And all of those had been done. You want opportunities to coach, learn, understand programming, speed, agility, conditioning, you know, nutrition. And by the end of the second week, all those were done. So in a sense, I told the staff, I said, I've given you what you asked from me. I now need what our team needs from you. And you wanted to coach, we got to coach. So
that's what they say, Coach. It's easy to do, easy not to do.
That's right, brother. That's actually on my Yeti, engraved on my Yeti mug.
Not shocked.
Heard that many times.
Well, it's, you know, as coaches or just human beings, we overestimate what we can get done in one day, but we underestimate what we can get done in 10 years. And with that mindset, understanding and being conscious of that, write out your goals, write out your ambitions, set your plan, and then work back from it. You know, don't just look at one giant obstacle that'll never get done. Look at all the action steps along the way that you can conquer today, this hour, this minute, and move forward. You know, take action. Best time to plant a tree, 20 years ago. Second best time, today.
So,
hell yeah.
Do you have, when you were building out your intern curriculums, your training curriculums for your athletes, was that like a big piece of it? You obviously want to deliver the best athlete onto the field for your head coach. However, was a big joy that you got from being a head coach or being in charge of the interns, watching the growth and development of them as like men?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was the same with the athletes. And that's why multi level development and tiered training systems. It was the same with the interns. And it was specific, the curriculum was specific to the phase of year we were in. So essentially there was one mental development book and there was one applied development book, and there was like a DVD per month, but it was specific. You know, are we in a camp setting? Or, well, what are we preparing to do? Well, we're preparing to teach our foundational level, you know, how to press, how to squat correctly. So we're gonna read on those specific details. Well, what's the periodization method we're gonna use for that? We're gonna read on that. And we're gonna be doing those things as a staff. Well, what do our players need? They need recovery modalities. So that's what we're also gonna read on and we're gonna focus on. Well, what is a staff member at that time of year need for mental development? Somebody that's been with me for 2 years or somebody that's just coming in with me and onboarding to our systems. So how do they understand how we function better? So we might do a strengths finder test to find out more about them and then find out who on the paid staff fits with them better and how I can communicate with them even smoother and simpler, as well as what's, you know, maybe they're not a big reader. So we give them a copy of a smaller book and we maybe advise them, hey, get the Audible version or log on to the local library. Not everybody reads. Some people podcast an Audible book, but find a way. Don't make excuses, just find solutions.
100%. Do you, when it comes to people doing this, taking the first step, growing, development, what do you think is like the biggest thing that holds people back from it? Is it self-confidence? Is it not knowing what they want to do and what they want to be? Like, what do you think holds people back from reaching their true potential?
That is so loaded, and I am so uneducated and to answer that. So I'm just going to do my best with where I've been and my experiences. That I would suggest that from what I've seen, a lot of people, it's not that look, we all start at a different level on the socioeconomic or life scale or whatever. Everybody starts where they start. That's great. Some of that's great. Some of that's awful. But we all get to then make a conscious choice. And from what I've seen is sometimes people never become conscious of the choices they are making and conscious of the choices they need to make to obtain a goal. And sometimes they never set a goal. So some do and some don't. And, you know, you can try to get everybody to be successful until it kills you, but you might end up dying. So
I say that to a lot of people because I get a lot of, no, I don't get a lot of crap, but I get a lot of comments like, dude, you're so different than you were before you got in strength conditioning, or you didn't used to read, you didn't used to do this. And I'm like, my biggest thing was identifying the life I wanted to live and the person I wanted to be, and then making sure my daily actions matched with what I wanted. Yeah. But I had to really understand and reflect on what the fuck I wanted out of life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that'll change along the way. And it should. But find something to get you moving today, this week, this month, this year, 5 years, and in 20 years. You know, and it's not just you, but I would say first look in the mirror, and then second, get with your wife or your spouse or your partner and, hey, where do you want to be in 1 year, 20 years? Does it align with me financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically? Like, do you place a premium on financial security? Do you place a premium on the quality of food you eat and the experiences you're after, or not, you know? And is that really going to work? So become conscious of it is what I'd say. Some people never become conscious of it. And then after that, some people do need a mentor or a coach. There's nothing wrong with hiring that out. I even think coaches need coaches, you know? High performance executives need leadership or mindset or psychologists or nutrition coaches. It's irrational to believe that you can solve all your own problems. So part of that is getting your head in the books, surrounding yourself with better people, getting your head barely above water and always growing. But
that was
becoming
a big
conscious.
No windy sleeves, to be completely honest, was just building an outlet for people to, it's not a clothing line, a place where people can just go to be able to ask people for help, or we're sharing stories for people to be able to see how to grow and get to where they want to be, but knowing that we're doing the same thing with them. We're trying to do it with you.
Absolutely.
And a lot of that comes, and that's why when I started No Windy Sleeve, I was like, Rick, Rick was someone that I grew so much with. I was like, if I want to build something to have people,
I mean,
it's a support system.
That's what I was going to say, is like I think a big thing too is people are just scared to get outside of the comfortability of their current life. They're fine where they're at. There's nothing going necessarily bad, and they're just so scared of, possibly something going wrong. The risk of changing or anything like that is so great in their mind. But I think having somebody, like you said, a coach, a mentor that can help you get outside of that mindset can take you a long way.
Well, I'll tell you this one too. You guys remember Tano, and I was talking to him about this summer. I said, why do you, kind of like, comparing people at the bottom in the United States versus, in bottom's relative. It's all different areas of your behavior and social, cultural life. But let's just say the bottom, whether it's financial, okay? Here versus, say, Uganda, where he's from. And he goes, the biggest difference I see is there's no soft cushion for everybody to just fall back on there. You can't be happy-go-lucky, satisfied just watching Dr. Phil on TV and, eating cheese puffs. Like here you can. You can, if you want that, if you want to be stuck in a void, like what was that Disney Pixar movie, Wall-E? You could be in Wall-E any day you want in America. If that taste of that big gulp feels a lot better than those abs, then go get you that big gulp, son. Run with it.
Immediate gratification, immediate satisfaction outweighs the long term for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it. I think that's where, like,
very marshmallow test to you, Coach. Do you remember? Have you heard the marshmallow test?
I'm waiting until Emerson's old enough. I'm going to run her through it. I was just listening to a podcast about it.
I know. I love it. But that's so true. And that's the ability to delay gratification. You see it in everything, physical, financial. And,
do you know that one, Rick?
What's that?
You know that test?
I don't.
Coach Cox, I know you've done it to your daughter already.
No, I haven't. And Cora's pretty alpha dominant mentally, so she would probably just grab that and make you give her another one anyway. So I don't know, but we will be testing her eventually. But I'm curious to how that goes. But that's a great test, and they've got great research following that.
Yeah, Rick. They'll give a marshmallow in front of a kid, and they say, "You can have this now, but if you wait, you can have 2."
10 minutes. All you have to do is wait 10 minutes.
And they see, and there's studies done that the kids that wait have higher IQs. They go to better colleges. They have better jobs. Like, they've studied it for a long time.
Well, and like they finish high school, they finish college, like they persist. They have a little bit better determination and grit throughout what they go through in life.
The guy who started the Spartan races said that his kid looked at him and was like, well, how long do I have to wait to get 15? And he was like,
oh,
it's going to be a freaking.
That kid's playing chess. Everybody else playing chess.
Savage. Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'd be hyped if my kid says that. Be like, oh, I got to win here.
We got a lot of people not even playing checkers, man. So that's just a choice. And that's why, like, talking about the grade out on the staffs, like order them from 1 down to the bottom, and you get a lot of people, they get down to like the last 3 and they're like, on that report, they would want to put like 3 names at like the 12th spot instead of do 12, 13, 14. I'm like, that ain't going to work. No, that doesn't work here.
Not too many more years left that you would be able to do those ratings and not get in trouble for some of that.
Right. And you know what? Let's just throw it out there. More people need to watch some Clint Eastwood movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just get some more. you talked about it, and I know you brought it up, but Coach, what do you have a bias towards? And it's a blunt, maybe it's like narcissistic or whatever, but I have a bias towards traps. Like, I just don't understand. And here I am all skinny at like 230 now, but you know, beach bod life. But I can't really buy into you. I do have kind of a fear of small, weak people. Like, I'm just not going to lie about that, you know? And I have a cautious trust but verify with people that have the time under the bar, but not the academia knowledge. So I'm picky about getting both in the human performance perspective. But it's like, you're a fat and out of shape strength coach. Like, dude, I'm going somewhere else. Like, it makes no logical sense, you know? And you say, well, you shouldn't judge people on first impressions. You shouldn't do that. And I'll be like, you know what? That's for God to judge people on what's in the inside. I'm going to judge on the outside right away. And then I'm going to get to know them if they pass the outside test.
That's a great, I'll tell you what, Coach, that's the one thing that has stuck with me that you've said, was that you are under constant evaluation no matter what you're doing. From everyone around you. Everyone is subconsciously evaluating you, no matter what they want to say or what they think. They are evaluating you.
What's the purple hair one you used to say, Rick?
What's that?
What did you just talk about with purple hair?
Like, yeah. Like, you know, if you have purple hair, people are going to look at you and be like, oh, that person has purple hair. Now, a good person is going to not do anything harsh or brash or anything like that to that person. They're just going to be like, well, this person has purple hair. I should probably see why, or something like that, you know?
I am going to profile. Like, it's human instinct, right? Like, duh, you know? But if I can get to know you, we can build a rapport and move beyond that, you know?
Exactly. I remember I got to Nova and I got to Coach Cox, the hand on the shoulder and just the light tapping on the chest. He's like, Tuttle, you're 196. Small people scare me. Go have another milk and do 100 drugs, okay? Because small people genuinely scare me. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I'm like, I thought I was big, like, you know? But dude, I'm telling you, now you get people would be judgmental on that. And that's where it goes back to, we were talking about like masculinity. It's not toxic, you know?
Well, I want to talk about that. So I saw the new Hummer unveiled, the new Hummer EV. I can't wait to get that thing, but I'm waiting to get it until the front lights can read any certain sort of like typing or code you put them in, the front headlights that go across the bar. And mine are strictly going to say toxic masculinity. And like, hey, what's up, guys? And then on my gym, I'm building my single stall gym right now in my house. I'm going to paint it, you know, and everything. And just did the kills priming and everything, get it cleaned up. But I'm literally labeling it toxic masculinity. That'll be the name of the gym. But it comes with another understanding, right? Like, you can't just have the meathead mentality. You need to have the other side of it. So it's the conscious understanding of both sides of the spectrum, or all sides of the spectrum. A lot of times there just aren't two. However, there is an understanding that we should not lose sight of what being a good man is and what good men do, and understanding those things. We don't need to get rid of masculinity at all. That's ludicrous. We don't need to be fluid with everything. We need to be consistent with who we are. We need to be conscious of who we are and develop those skills and behaviors.
Yeah, and it's in our DNA, and you know, we get biased towards us too. I mean, if you're a dude with a beard and muscles, you're just right off the bat. If I saw Rick walking down the street and be like, look at that meathead, I'd like to talk to him. Rick's one of the smartest dudes I know when it comes to, you know, it's the body and stuff.
Yeah, and his traps are bigger now. So
yeah, exactly.
It's even better. Go, RMU, let's roll.
In the air. You know, we talk about that all the time too. You know, it was good for me to go down to another gym because I'm seeing all these bigger dudes. I'm like, I gotta grow. I have to grow again, you know?
Yeah. You become who you surround yourself with. And, you know, if you're going to be serious about it, you know, you got to progress. You have to get Rick said earlier, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's one of the greatest gifts you can give your athletes. And it doesn't come by patting them on the back, telling them they're doing a good job when they suck. That doesn't happen that way. They need to understand failure and moving forward. Fail forward fast. Fail fast was our number one staffing and intern rule. I know you're going to fail. You even know you're going to fail, but you're worried you're going to fail, and therefore it'll hold up your success. I don't have time for you to find yourself and develop yourself over the course of 7 years. I have 7 days. I need you to move faster. So I need you to get up to where you're pushing me to be better. So
that reminds me of one of the funniest things I've ever seen is when I think Teeds was, remember Teeds?
oh, absolutely.
Teeds was introducing something to the team, and you're just there going, he's doing it real slow, and you're like, do better, do better, do better, do better, do better. So now every time I talk to Teeds, he'll be doing something in the dick. He's doing it slow. He's like, do better, do better, do better. And it's just that's just a crack. It's such a unique learning style. Like you want us to fail. You make us run the warm up, which is fucking long and brutal.
Absolutely, in front of the whole team.
Yes.
Yeah. And in a matter of time. And if you do it great, you get like a shirt or a pair of sunglasses, or you get to do it in front of the football coaches. You know, it's the escalation of your development. The better you can become, the faster, the more opportunities you're going to have in the profession. And therefore, the more opportunities I'll have in the future. And it's a Zig Ziglar thing, right? He always said, the more you can help people get what they want in life, the more you'll have in life of what you want. Somewhat like that. I kind of butchered it, but that's the same thing I always went by. Like, if you're telling me these are your goals and ambitions, and I can help you find them and get to them faster, that only leads to my success. So why wouldn't I want to help out as many coaches and athletes as fast as possible? I used to tell all my athletes, I said, eventually I would tell them, I said, we're looking at this wrong. You're thinking of me as like some drill sergeant always being hard on you. What I need you to understand is I'm out to make sure you're a 10-year NFL All-Pro, super wealthy veteran. You play at the height of your sport. And then I would ask them, is that a better goal than what you have set for yourself? And undoubtedly they'd be like, wow, yeah, I never thought it. Like I never thought that detailed and specific about it, or that great of a grand goal. And then they would open up and be like, those are my intentions for you. So every single thing I do is an action towards helping you achieve those intentions for yourself. It's not about me, it's about we.
That's a great point, where I don't think a lot of people look at it like that. We're like, yeah, I'm helping you, which is also helping me. But at the end of the day, we're both getting to our destination.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not so much me being selfish. It's me wanting to help myself and you.
Yeah. I'm only getting to where I want to go in life if I have 1,000 people where they want to be in life. You know, it's just as clear as day to me. And a lot of people I associate with, but like we go back to, a lot of people have that scarcity mindset and they can never actually see that. And maybe that's a larger part of their downfall.
Well, how do you view and deal with like downtime? Because it's something I struggle with. I still do. It's better now that I have, having a daughter. Now I don't care when I go home. If I go home at 5, I'm putting my phone down because I'm hanging out with her.
I'm at the beach. That's how I deal with downtime.
But you have so much shit going on. You do so much shit. Like you're always reading stuff. It's like sometimes I'll struggle if I'm watching TV. I'm like, I should be fucking reading or getting better or doing something for one of the businesses. It's like, do you think that's a is that a dead?
That's a dead shark.
Cut in half. Well,
watch where you swim. Watch where you swim. I'm going to answer it. I say no to things. Like I willed it down. I really, really have 3 clear avenues that I enjoy, love, care about. It's human performance. It's the development of financial education for others and the accumulation of financial capital. And the third is my family. So if it's outside of those, if it's not helping the man in the mirror, if it's not helping myself and my wife, if it's not helping the people in my home, or then my neighbors, or then my township or community, and then my county, and then my city, I'm not trying to solve everybody's or global problems. I'm trying to start with the guy in the mirror. And then after that, I'm working to the woman I share the bed with. Then after that, I'm working the people in my home. I'm working outward, but I first look to clutter the noise, cancel out the noise, just as you'd coach an athlete in the middle of the fourth quarter or, you know, the end of a game or match when the game's on the line, clear the noise, you know? So work and you become good just back in school. You really understand material when you can coach others to understand that material. And that's the coach athlete relationship there. So get really good at, hey, that's not a priority. Don't do it. Hey, I don't spend my money on that because I don't value that. I don't spend my time, which is more important than money, on that because I don't value that. So find where your value systems are. I know mine. It doesn't mean that's the only things. It's just mean those are the 80%. That's where I want to spend 80% of my time. That's where I want to spend 80% of my money.
How do you keep it in check? Do you map it out? Are you like a routine, write out your planner for the week, for the day?
Yeah. Well, you start the day after you have planned it out the night before, right? Like, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Like a lot of times over the past maybe 8-9 years, it's been just really rough. Like, hey, these 3 action items, and then you read like, you know, eat that frog, and you're like, hey, which one of these is going to have the biggest impact, you know? And then you become understanding of like your daily schedule and all of the impediments on your time and energy. So you know what? You wake up at 4 and you go train. Even if it's just putting on your clothes and stepping in the gym and doing 10 minutes of something, get it out of the way. Eventually that'll cascade and develop into something. You know, you can read Atomic Habits for how to kind of develop those 1% better every single day and those build up those positive habits, but you need to do it and you need to know where your value system is and take action on those, because other stressors, other noises, other issues will always come up. And then if you don't plan your life, if you don't set your goals and plan your life, you may fall to the plans of someone else. The sad part about that is so many people are not going to like what others have planned for them.
I like that. That's a really good point. Because I know you were super structured, super focused on everything, developing yourself. When you had your child, did it take time to readjust and adapt your lifestyle or schedule for her?
Well, it really helped just kind of understand, like, look, different position in life, right? Like you set goals at 20, set them at 25 and so on, and they change, but you should still set them. A lot of those goals have become 70, you know, an arbitrary percentage, but 70, 80 or 100% are completed. Some I got, you know, 60% towards, and I was like, well, time to move on. You know, life's happening, things to adjust. And so with my daughter, yeah, I want to be there. I want to be a great father. I want to be an elite super dad. So with that said, other things need to move out of the way. So I told you human performance for myself and my family are paramount along with my athletes. So those things need to get planned and in position. You know, financial setups and systems and structures need to be in position. And if we all have the same time, so if you're going to be bitching about excuses of, oh, I don't have enough time, you know what? Wake up at 2 a.m. and start working. Deal with it. Because it's a lot easier to deal with it when you're 20, when you're 30, when you're 40, than it is when you're looking back at life at 75 going, oh, shoot. I wish I would have, shoulda, coulda, woulda. So you just go. Some of those mindsets, I don't get it, you know, and I really think it's people aren't conscious of what they want in life, and they're not conscious of how to seek out the best book. The funny part too is you can learn from your failures and wisdom, but you can also learn from the failures and successes and wisdom of others. They're just in books for $20. You know, go to Amazon, find the ones that are all 4.5 stars, highly rated on how to remodel a house, real estate investing, how to be healthy and fit. Just get the top 4. Get one and start making moves. Oh, I'm not a good reader. Cool. Read 1 page a day. At the end of the year, you at least got 1 book done. So
I like that mindset. It's you should never feel sorry for yourself. It's something that has changed a lot with people, but if you can change and adapt it, it's like no one's going to be there to hold your hand forever. If you think there's not enough time, there's fucking enough time. And sometimes I have to look myself in the mirror and say that. I'm like, wow, I'm getting pulled a lot of different ways. Well, fucking stop going on TikTok to look at shit. Stop having any drink, change things to your priorities and finish the job that you set out to do and make it a priority for what the hell you want to do.
I had to ask somebody in August what TikTok was.
If you're not TikToking, you're not trying. If you're trying to grow something.
August. I'm not even sure when that came out. I'm just saying in August, I had to ask somebody what that was.
There's more 18-year-old millionaires on TikTok than I can even. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, proclaimed, or whatever. So, and maybe some people. Yeah, exactly. Maybe some people have it figured out. Maybe some don't.
One thing I thought I was gonna say is that in today's world, going back to like the books and stuff, like to say that you don't know something is like preposterous. You literally have in today's world access to literally information for free at all times.
Everyone's like, you don't know how to do drywall or construction or whatever. I've completely redid this house and built tables.
Yeah.
You hate tools. I'm like, it's 2020. Anything you want to learn to do is on YouTube or in a book.
Figure it out. Yeah. I mean, if somebody just wanted to be healthy and fit, I'm sure they could follow your IG and just like, well, he did, 2 sets of 5 and 2 sets of 3 on deadlift today. And they did, 5 sets of chin-ups to AMAP. Maybe I'll just do that.
Yeah.
But just start. Like weight's relative. Just
can you imagine if you did that 3 times a week for like 4 months, you would get shredded.
Yeah. I mean, it's just start. Like, and that's the thing too. It's not for somebody, and I have nothing completely figured out, but what I'm saying is for people that do have a path, people that do know who they are and their value systems and their mission in life, it's really not necessary for them to help like figure out why so many other people don't have that. It's just necessary for them to give back to those that are trying to take that step forward. Give back to the ones that are actively seeking help and improvement in life. But don't be scratching your head over the people that, why don't they have that figured out? I would not be worried about those things. They're just mysteries of the universe. Just let them be.
I say control the controllables. We talk about it all the time. You can't waste.
Absolutely.
That's a big thing. And it's the same thing with you're never going to be able to, you worrying about other people's opinions is never going to change it. So you can't control it. Just be yourself and do what the hell you want to do.
And going back to the voice analogy with the one assistant, the reality is you talk to yourself more than anyone. So when I'm telling you, watch out who you surround yourself with because you're the average of the 5 people. Well, guess what? Nobody else's voice is in your head as much as yours. So be very choiceful with what you say to yourself. Be very clear with where you're going and who you are and how that affects your outward appearance and actions. Get yourself right.
I always tell people when they're debating on coming to the gym, I'm like, you can't do anything else in life until you take care of number 1 first. Yeah. You can't be a good husband unless you have your shit figured out for yourself. You can't be a good father. You can't run a good business unless you have your shit figured out first.
Yes. Or it won't last. You might get lucky in some areas, but it won't last until you're, and I don't mean you have to be balanced in every area because maybe the work-life balance is BS because the people I know that do what they love, they don't really need balance. Like, why do you need balance when you're always happy or like the Warren Buffett book, Tap Dancing to Work? I don't want to be balanced in other areas. Maybe I don't even care about those areas. Maybe I don't want to know about anything else. Maybe I don't want to know about TikTok.
I tell people that all the time. I'm like, money doesn't drive me to build these businesses. Yes, I want to be financially stable. However, I want to build something that I can go into work every day with Rick and do that and make an impact on people and go to home. And there's no difference to being at home or being at the office working on no windy sleeves to help people, right? Yeah. Building that.
Well, and to drive home with what you just said, though, capital provides the opportunity for change.
Exactly.
Poor people and this is not degrading or demeaning. I'm just saying, like, if you have $0, you're unable to invoke treasure as your time, talent, treasure. You're unable to use treasure to help change in the world. You have to rely on time and talent. So most likely too, if you have no treasure to give to others, no money, no capital to invoke change, then you need to spend your time developing that so you have basic necessities in your life. And so you should want to become ultra wealthy. You should want to have a vast enterprise, because that is the way for you to create change in other people's lives. That's called conscious capital. That's for you to give back to others. And you can't give back maximally to others if you're just struggling to pay the mortgage.
I like that. That's a really good mindset on it. I always say money doesn't buy happiness, but it affords you the freedom to have it whenever the hell you want. You're not stressing out about that other shit.
And give it to others, you know?
And have the 5 bank accounts, coach. I remember when I first took this job, first salary job, you were like, when you get to New Jersey, I want you to go to Bank of America and open up 5 bank accounts. I was like, yes, coach. Then like a year later, you text me, you got 5 bank accounts? I was like, yes, separated them out for you.
Do you remember when I came back and you like watched the house or something and I paid you, but it was like the cash was divvied up just specifically for this to hit home? And you did the great humanistic thing. You're like, coach, I can't take that. And I'm like, okay. We've said this about 4 times, but here's the deal. Either you follow this procedure with this and start these systems and structures for your own financial life, or in a year, I come back and you're honest and say, hey, I didn't do it. And in that case, you spend $200 on me instead of the 100, and we're going to go have cigars and bourbon on you being a loser. So we never had that because you decided to be awesome and live a great life and take action. So
I remember the one alarm in my phone is still labeled as Whiskers. I just haven't changed it in 3 years.
I love it.
Reminding me to go let him out.
Dude, that's savage. I love it. What's that shark?
There's so much good shit that we can get into. Like I said, one of the most knowledgeable people, that I've ever been around, and got the opportunity, especially, with Rick, to learn a shit ton from you. I think a lot of what you taught us is definitely in his program, where he's at, and is definitely at Fast Twitch.
I appreciate that, bud.
Just to wrap up a little bit, like I always say, like I always say, Coach, how you doing today? It's either just north of outstanding or winning life. If there was anything, you could give people to get started and taking the right steps, is there any piece of advice that you'd give to them?
Yeah. Action and execution trump wisdom, any day. So the plan will never be perfect. Done is better than perfect. Move forward. Take action. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. Nobody wants an easy life. An easy life leads to a mediocre life. They want to have purpose. After about 5 days of sitting, the people I like, if they were sitting around for like 5 days, maybe a lot sooner, they'd go nuts, and they'd have to start taking action on things they're passionate about and they have purpose for. So execution will always be wisdom. Execution will always cure self-doubt. If you're, one of my favorite kind of like, I guess a poem or whatever is just titled Work. We got it at Kansas. Coach Mandino had it in the back of the playbook. But essentially, if you're dealing with physical stress, work. If you're dealing with mental stress, work. If times are good, work. If times are bad, work. If you're in a pandemic, work. If you're filthy rich, work. If life is all sunshine and rainbows, work. If life is doom and gloom and we're at war, work. Take action, and find direction. But even if you're not 100% on that direction, just start walking forward, fail forward fast. And then don't be afraid to pivot, course correct your actions, and move in a different line, but keep going forward.
I love it. Fail fast.
Tell you what, how long have I been on here?
Damn near an
I
hour.
don't know.
Probably.
However long it's been, but I'm fucking motivated. All right, I'm fucking pumped up.
That was a nice special guest appearance from Coach Rick. We're gonna get another episode in with Coach Cox for sure. And
We're gonna have to.
Yeah, we'll get into more detailed shit. I want you to teach us everything that you're doing, and I want to learn what's next for the Cox.
Hey, I think we need to take a trip.
Yeah,
down to wherever the hell he's at, get some bourbon and cigars, and then do it.
Absolutely. You guys are welcome here anytime. You guys are family. Love to have you here. You guys know that. And I look forward to being on it again, Coach. And also someday I'll get back to the old social medias and keep more of a tab on you than the occasional text. But miss working with you guys. It was one of the greatest times of my life. I look forward to seeing all the big and awesome things you guys do moving forward.
Appreciate it, Coach. Really means a lot. Definitely very influential for both of us. So we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it, guys.